whenever I watched this individual run into either like defenders or into a maul, he just looked like he was feverish with energy and anger, and that's Schalk.
Has to be.
Has to be.
The incredible Schalk.
Scala! Like, what an amazing player. I didn't want to give it away by saying his original, like, golden locks running in and, like, being all over the show. But when he went into a contest, a confrontation with another defender or someone who he was up against over the ball, that ball was not getting taken from him.
Yeah.
He just had energy and grit and determination like I'd never seen before. And so for me, he just was a champion amongst men.
Yeah, okay. No, I agree. He's the third one on my list as well. I had to make space for Schalk.
Yeah.
Schalk's one of the players that when I went through, there's a couple of websites where you can get all the stats. He played on both sides of the scrum as well, played a couple of tests at number 8, so he was really versatile.
Yeah.
Towards the end of his career, he played number 8. But, when he came onto the scene 2004, IRB World Player of the Year in his second season. Okay, he made his debut in the World Cup in 03, but that was his real first full season. He just hit the world stage like a hurricane, and he was destructive and volatile, and very much he played with a guy like Bucky's. That these guys would just hit rucks at the rate of knots, and he was I can't think of another word other than destructive. That's how I look at Schalk. And although he wasn't
like a man possessed.
He was, but he probably wasn't as great at turning over ball like a George Smith or a Richie McCaw. But what he did is he slowed down the opposition's ball so well. That's what he did well. He got his hands on the ball. He maybe didn't turn it over, but he delayed the opposition scrum off getting his hands on the ball, and that gave the Springboks time to realign their defense. And we had that blitz defense in 04 and 05 that famously worked for us. But defensively, I wouldn't want to run into Schalk.
No.
And when you listen to podcasts and players from overseas talk about their toughest opponents, like Dan Carter famously said, the most difficult player he's ever played against was Schalk.
Yeah.
So he rates him as the hardest guy he's ever had to play against.
He reminds. So we picked our 8s last week. Dwayne Vermeulen was up on our list.
Yeah.
When Dwayne had his long flowing locks. When Scala, both of them don't any longer, but when Scala had his long flowing locks, when they had ball in hand and they were running into opposition, they looked very similar.